Perfect. Welcome everyone to the QuickStart webinar. We're going to get started here. I'm sure a few more attendees will join the meeting in the next couple minutes, but I think we can kick off. Thank you to everyone who's joined today. We are really looking forward to telling you about this new initiative that we've started at Vera Solutions called QuickStarts. Okay, great. My name is Caitlin. I am the Quick Start practice lead here at Vera Solutions, based out of our Cape Town office. So calling in from early in the morning over here. And basically what that means is I've spent the past few months working with many different team members across the company to design and build these various quick start solutions that we'll talk about today. Before QuickStarts, I was working as a solutions architect and business analyst in our consulting department for about the past 4 years-ish, building out custom data management solutions for nonprofits and social enterprises. So I will be co-leading this webinar with my colleague, Shama.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shama Sinha, and I am a lead solutions engineer at Vera Solutions, working out of Vera's India office. I actually joined Vera after working a couple of years in grassroots organizations in Jharkhand, India, and then started off as a consulting team member at Vera, mostly working with organizations in the sector to implement cloud-based solutions. And more recently, I'm working as a solutions engineer with the business development team. Welcome to the webinar.
Super, thanks, Shama. Great, so we've got a good lineup for everyone today. We'll kick off the webinar by discussing some of the key challenges that nonprofits and social enterprises typically encounter when we talk about data management. We'll talk about those common challenges and then moving to a more desirable future states. After that, we'll discuss the Salesforce platform. I understand that might be new to many people on the call. Don't worry, Shama will take you through exactly what Salesforce is and why Vera Solutions has chosen to build on top of the Salesforce platform as opposed to other CRM software. Then I'll take back the mic and I'll talk you through the various quick start bundles that we have designed that are available to you. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with what does it actually look like to go through a quick start implementation and how you can get started and how you can reach out to us. Great. Perfect. So we're hoping to garner a little bit of engagement throughout this webinar so that it's not just us talking, but so that we can learn a little bit more about your organizations as well. To do this, we are using a tool called Menti that will allow you to respond to some of the questions that we'll post throughout the course of the webinar. So to participate in the Menti questions, if you have a phone with you, you can just go ahead and scan the QR code, or you can go to menti.com and add the code that you see there, 13703926. I'm not sure if someone from the Vera side is able to pop that in the chat. If you can, thank you. Otherwise, I'll leave this up for a couple seconds here. And what this will do is it will open the slides in another browser for you or on your phone, and it will allow you to respond to some of the prompts as we go. I'll leave this up for just one more second, just to make sure everyone can get the code. Thank you for posting that code. Okay, hopefully everyone has that. I'm going to go ahead to the next slide here. Okay, first question. We would love to know from where in the world you are joining this webinar from. Anticipating having quite a few Asia organizations. So if you are on a phone, you should be able to just drop a pin. And if you are on a web browser, you should be able to select from the top right of the screen. Great. Okay. Got a few people trickling in. Fantastic. Quite a nice spread there throughout Asia. Fabulous. Great. Okay, our next question here is what type of organizations are on the call? So you can go ahead and select the type of organization that you represent here. Great. Okay, already one nonprofit. That was quick. Super.
Yep, few more nonprofits.
Great.
Okay. Oh, we have a social enterprise as well. That's a decent combination of organizations that we'd like to chat with.
Super. And yeah, that's a good flag. Vera does work with multiple different types of organizations, many that are on this list, but both nonprofit and for-profit social enterprises as well. Great. Okay, now what team do you work on in your organization? So you should be able to choose multiple options here if you work across many different teams, which I know many of us do. Okay, super. Some programs, some IT, BD. Super. Great. So the different quick start bundles that we have do speak to these different teams. So we should have some interesting things to talk about that would service the work of most of the people in the room here. Great. And we've got finance. Perfect.
Interesting.
Okay, last question here. What is the size of your organization? And here we're just trying to get a hold of the scope and the scale of the different uh, organizations that are interested in quick starts.
I think we might have that the sliding probably is something that we can change. We might
A
have
little
messed up the
confusing.
for this one. But you can just slide to whichever value you want in one of these options.
Right. We'll take any interaction on each of the levels as a response for that size. So that's great. We've got quite an even spread here, which is really, really interesting. Okay, I'll hand the mic over to you, Shama.
Great. Thank you, Caitlin. All right. So for those of you who are new to Vera Solutions, just a little bit of background on who we are. We can go to the next slide, Caitlin. So Vera is actually a B Corp certified social enterprise with a mission to amplify the impact of the social and development sector. And we have been doing that by implementing technology solutions for organizations in the sector for the last 14 years. So till date, we have more than 420 organizations that we have worked with, and they all have ranged from funders and grant makers to program implementers, grassroots organizations, INGOs, and so on. We do have a global team. We have hubs across 6 countries across the world, and all of the organizations that we have worked with are also spread across the globe. And specifically in the Asia region, we have quite a few. For example, this is a glimpse of maybe organizations across the globe. So you might be familiar with some of those logos, but in Asia and perhaps India and other parts of Asia, these are some logos of organizations that are closer to home. And some of them probably just have very heavy usage of the systems that we have built by users who are based in the Asia region. Happy to speak to one of these maybe after a webinar if you'd like to connect with us. But of course, you can also go to our website and check out maybe case studies that we have for some of these organizations. Great. So we did want to, before diving into what exactly quick starts are, we did want to share a little bit around common challenges that we have seen and heard from the past 14 years of experience. And this primarily comes from technology implementations that organizations have been doing as a result of maybe very problematic spreadsheets that they are working with and trying to understand the data that they are handling and so on. So this is a list of maybe some common challenges that we've heard from organizations, including siloed systems. So systems or data spread across many tools. We have another issue with extensive spreadsheets, which I'm sure a lot of you might be familiar with. And it's usually a good place to start, but then eventually becomes quite monstrous as your program scale or as your data increases. That then results in a whole lot of manual workarounds in the process of tracking and managing the data that you're working with. And of course, system cost is a big one. We've often seen that being a big blocker for organizations who want to adopt well-built and proven systems and solutions. And of course, reporting. A lot of organizations are trying to understand their impact, primarily to continue making that impact, to report to their donor, and so on. And reporting ends up being a very manual and extensive process for a lot of these organizations. These are some examples that we have heard. We'd actually love if you could engage with us for another minute. We'd love to hear from you as well. What are some common challenges that you have probably faced when you're trying to manage your data and work with your data and are trying to understand the impact of your nonprofit? And for those who are maybe consultants or tech providers, you've definitely worked with organizations in the sector, so perhaps you can share a bit of what you've heard from them. You'll have to go back to the Menti screen. You're probably on that screen already, and if you've closed it, then you can perhaps re-enter with the code that you see up here, 1370392 and you'll see this question pop up. So this is an open question. Feel free to type in some challenges that you have perhaps come across in your day-to-day data management. Too many Excel sheets and documents. I'm sure that that is true for a whole lot of organizations. Finding information, yeah, and this is probably because of so many siloed systems and tools that usually is a challenge. No data at all. Interesting, yeah. I would love to maybe at some point dig more into that. Probably a combination of not having the right data or just data collection going wrong somewhere. Any other challenges that data integrity? Yeah, another one that perhaps a tool that allows you to enter data in a structured format could help. Working with other teams in our organizations, this is something that I recently actually came across with one organization we worked with, especially in terms of finance and M&E and programs and operations, trying to work together. Great, we have some good ones. Documentation, no insights. Program team has no view of their own data. Yep. So this sort of ties to perhaps no data or finding information in some ways. All right. Do we want to give another 2 seconds or should we move on? But these are some really, really good examples. Thank you for sharing.
Very common problems, I think. All of these feel familiar. Okay, let's go into the next one here.
Okay, thanks, Caitlin. All right, so Vera Solutions, given our mission to actually help the development sector, what we have been doing for the last 14 years, we have been implementing systems that help organizations overcome these challenges and reach a future state that is ideal and that perhaps helps them move forward and understand their data. One such example is a unified platform. So an ideal future state is a consolidated data platform where you can see your data across all teams. Another one is perhaps insights at a glance, which relates to where do I go to get my data? And if you have a platform that holds your program data, your fundraising data, your finance data, and then spits out reports or analytics to understand that data, that's another ideal future state. User friendliness, of course, we have a large number of organizations that face user adoption, and a platform that provides a good interface will help with that. And then the next one is affordable, which again, we do not want to be spending a lot on implementations if we have bigger problems that need financing, but we do want platforms that organizations can afford, and that can also spit out pre-built analytics, mostly to understand impact and to understand where should you go next or how should you proceed in the implementation of your programs. So this is what we aim to achieve when we implement systems. And on this slide, we have actually put out some questions and criteria that we highly recommend to organizations who are trying to adopt a tool or a technology system in order to digitalize their organizations. We have a blog on this that we're happy to share. Top 3 questions that we recommend, however, are: will it meet our needs today? Will it meet our needs in 5 years? And what is the total cost of ownership? And within each of these questions, we have shared a few criteria that we have found extremely helpful in the process of selecting the right tool. For example, when it comes to total cost of ownership, you might have a custom developed solution that works for you and is super affordable today, but perhaps in 5 years or 4 years' time, it might not be serving the purpose for which it's built today. So you might want to look at the long-term cost, maintenance, license, and setup included, to then determine if that's the right tool that you want to perhaps adopt for your organization. All right. In today's webinar, oh, sorry, we have another question we want to ask you. Given what we just heard and learned, could you share with us tools that you are currently using to manage your data? And this could be data related to your fundraising, your projects and programs, or grants that you're giving out, or impact that you're trying to make essentially. But we'd love to hear some tools that are very commonly used in the sector, and especially in Asia region, given where we are all from. Excel spreadsheets. Excel is the Google Sheet. Okay, Zoho, HubSpot. Yeah. These are some common ones that we've heard. Kobo Toolbox. Yeah, that's the data collection tool. Some of our customers use that as well. A lot of sheets, which is very expected, and it's very common. Word documents. Metabase. Interesting. AppSheet. AppSheet is a big one that seems to be doing a lot of rounds these days. Donations. Dalgo. Interesting. Cool. Okay, this is a good collection of tools, and we've certainly heard all of these, I would say, from the range of customers that we've worked with. A lot of them, of course, start with Google Sheet or Excel, which probably is a good place to start when you're just beginning your journey and are trying to manage the data. Some of these are, I think, newer in the ecosystem, if I'm not wrong. Maybe Talgo and AppSheet, I think, has become more popular recently than it was a few years back. Great. Thank you for sharing. So in today's Quick Start, we are actually going to be focusing specifically on a Quick Start solution for Salesforce. And for anyone who is maybe not super familiar, Salesforce is a CRM platform that serves very well for a lot of nonprofit operations. The reason why our perhaps webinar today is focused on Salesforce is we've learned that it has the largest market share right now in terms of CRM applications. And while we understand that the word Salesforce and perhaps the perception that we have is that it's for commercial or for-profit purposes, and while it does serve a very large variety of industries, it also does have 56,000 nonprofits that are currently using Salesforce, which means it's actually pretty popular and has proven to be quite successful in the nonprofit sector. And we have ourselves actually seen the success of that in the last 14 years. So we wanted to sort of share a bit more about if this tool can be used and how it can be used, and what solution we have brought to make it easier for you to consider this as a platform. If you go to the next slide, this onion layer gives an overview of some perhaps features of the platform itself that we have found to be helpful, and why we have often ended up selecting that as a go-to platform for a lot of our customers. But just to name a few, it's pretty robust and has some high security standards. It's quite flexible, and it also gives you a lot of tools that you can configure and you don't have to code. It also, of course, lets you slice and dice your data for analytics, and you can pull some good reports and dashboards once you have the data set in. We can talk more about the platform itself, but I think we do want to see specifically the Quick Start solutions on for nonprofits on platforms. So maybe if we move on to the next slide. This is just a quick note for anyone who is exploring Salesforce. They do have a Power of Us program for the nonprofit sector specifically, under which if you are a registered nonprofit, you could get 10 free licenses, and then discounts on top of those 10 free licenses. The Salesforce might actually want to confirm that you're eligible, but If you need support, if you want to consider this platform, want to explore it, you can fill out the form on the screen and we can perhaps help you explore that option. All
Lovely.
right.
Thank you, Shama. And yeah, Salesforce is just a really robust, very flexible platform. So do reach out to us if you have any further questions about what it would be like to run your organization on Salesforce. But we'll pivot now into getting into the meat of the webinar of what is QuickStarts? What are QuickStarts? Let me just pop over to the next slide here. Great. So a quick start is really intended to be this standardized solution that is built from industry best practices over years and years of Vera designing custom implementations, and is really aimed at providing this affordable, predictable, cost-efficient way to add value to the business quite quickly. So instead of going the normal process of procuring licenses for a CRM platform and then spending potentially many months, maybe even years building a custom solution, we're flipping the script a little bit and saying, how can we provide in a very efficient space of time organizations with an off-the-shelf solution that will meet most of your use cases now, but remains scalable and will evolve with you, grow with you over time. Cool. So why did Vera create QuickStarts in the first place? I think over these many years that Vera has been in business, 14 years, I think you said, Shama, that we've been working with nonprofit and social sector organizations, we've started to see this trend for an increased demand for sector accountability and transparency. So organizations increasingly are being asked to be data-driven or to be able to provide data-driven insights about their work. And what we've realized as a company is that not every organization has the technology budget or the high capacity tech teams to really service this. So what we've seen is that gap in the market where there is the increased expectation that organizations will be data-driven, but there aren't great solutions that are affordable, predictable cost, and efficient to implement. So our answer to that is really quick starts. Let's go forward here. Great. So as of today, we have developed 3 core quick start solutions to service different nonprofit social sector needs. And these are what you see on the screen here. So the first is Quick Starts for fundraising, which is really focused on supporting your individual and institutional fundraising needs. Then we've got Quick Start for program delivery, which allows you to manage your programs and attribute benefits and services to people that participate in those programs. And then finally, our portfolio management and impact measurement quick start, which is also supported by AMP Impacts, another product that Vera has developed. And this is really a kind of best-in-class system for managing impact data on a really granular level that is also supported by a set of project management functionality. Great. So when you purchase a quick start, in addition to the technology, so in addition to the system, you are also paired up with a technical consultant here at Vera Solutions who will help to train your users. So to support your in-house system administrator, if you have one, to understand how to maintain the system over time, as well as your super users. So you can think of super users as sort of system champions, front-end users who are really fluent with the system. They might train others to use the system, etc. So both your super users and your sysadmins will receive training from Vera Solutions, in addition to a little bit of lightweight data migration training so that you can get your accounts and contacts data into the system really quickly, really easily. And we'll set you up with all of the functional and technical documentation that you need to really own the system going forward and have it grow with you over time. Cool. So as we discussed earlier, because QuickStarts are built on top of the Salesforce platform, each of them has this kind of underlying layer of functionality that is consistent across all of the different QuickStart solutions. So first, we've got basic CRM, so constituent relationship management functionality. And this is really allowing you to manage your accounts or organizations and your contacts and the relationships between them, as well as collaborating in the system. So, for example, in-system chat functionality, file storage, tasks and activities, etc. Additionally, as well as having all of the training and the documentation that I just spoke about, we also allow you to rename system labels to make sure that the user interface and any of the terms that you see in the system align with your organizational terminology. So, for example, maybe you call indicators KPIs. We'll be able to relabel that for you. And you will, of course, also get access to Salesforce reports and dashboards, which allow you just a very easy, very aesthetically pleasing way to view your data in a way that is very digestible. So each of the QuickStart solutions comes with a set of pre-configured reports and dashboards to help you very quickly answer key questions about your data. Great. So equally as important as what is included is what is not included. And as the name suggests, quick starts are quick, so they can't have everything in them. So a few things just to be aware of. Quick starts do not include at this moment any functionality to support multi-currency or multi-language support. It is only in English. We do not have mobile and offline data collection functionality. If you have quite complex data and you require more complex or more thorough data cleaning, transformation, and migration, that would be scoped separately. Additionally, any extra automation or data security visibility requirements would need to be separate from the quick start. And of course, any integration with other software would be handled separately. So important, again, because we build on Salesforce and Salesforce is super extendable, very flexible, can do lots and lots of stuff. All of this is absolutely possible. It would just need to be put in subsequent project phases after the quick start is complete. Okay, let's get into the individual bundles. So we'll start here with quick start for fundraising. So the core functionality for QuickStart for fundraising is really centered around individual and institutional donation management. So this will allow you to track payments and receivables. And what we mean by this allows you to track donation opportunities all the way through their pipeline, right? So from the time that they're prospective donations or donors to when they become pledges or commitments, or they are paid in installments over time, all the way through to the time that they're actualized donations or payments. So you can get that whole financial spectrum. What is not included in the specific bundle is any kind of payment gateway to actually process those financial transactions. That would be separated, as well as any kind of donor portal or external user facing website like portal. Again, can definitely be added in subsequent projects though. Okay, quick start for program delivery. So this one, as mentioned before, is really focused on program management and articulating the benefits and services that you deliver through your programs to different beneficiaries or people that participate in those programs. So this bundle is going to allow you to maintain beneficiary profiles to track the benefits accrued by people over time, as well as tracking things like registration or attendance of people in various programs. There is additionally some lightweight outcome management here that will gesture towards the sort of bigger picture impacts measurement across your programs. Great. Features not included in the program delivery bundle are, again, any kind of external facing portal. So for example, a website like interface where individuals would apply to programs We also are not including any survey or assessment functionality, so no grading functionality. And finally, we're not including case management. Importantly, Salesforce has a very, very robust set of case management and service management functionality. So if that is something that's critical for your use case, that is absolutely something that could be explored in later phases of work. Great. Our final core quick start here is portfolio management and impact measurements. I'll just flip through this slide quickly. Great. So again, this one, our PMIM bundle is Salesforce, and then it is Vera Solutions Product AMP Impact that sits over the top of Salesforce as well, which opens up quite a lot of really, really great functionality that again has been built, really designed for nonprofits and social sector organizations over many, many, many years with lots of feedback from organizations of all shapes and sizes. So on the portfolio management side, we've got a really nice, thorough set of program and project management tools. So the system will allow you to create roles for various organizations and individuals on your projects. It will allow you to tag or classify projects based on different criteria. So for example, with geographic areas, country, city, etc., or thematic areas. So for example, gender, so that you can start to aggregate your impact data according to certain categories. It also has some nice lightweight project management functionalities, such as being able to set up a visual activities Gantt chart with planned and actual start and end dates, and also adds some nice financial features. It is not an accounting system, but it does give you the ability to do budgetary management at the program and project level, track planned and actual expenditure, track disbursements if you move money from your organization to other organizations, and report on all of your financials. There's also some really solid risk management functionality here. So setting up risk registers, mitigation strategies, actions, risk assessments, etc. Cool. On the impact measurement side, this is a deceptively small little block at the bottom because this is where this bundle really, really shines. So AMP impacts and this impact measurement part of the PMIM bundle allows you to set up logical frameworks or theories of change, if you will, in the system that track your activities, outputs, outcomes, impact statements, and to tie to those a set of indicators with baseline values, target values, and actual results over time, and by geographic area. So there's a lot of interesting ways that you can disaggregate these indicators and re-aggregate them to pull out really meaningful insights about your impact. Additionally, we also have a lightweight survey functionality in this particular bundle that allows users to create narrative reports, so to collate qualitative data about their programs. Okay, so what is not included in this particular bundle is again an externally facing portal for users to input data into the system. And there isn't any fundraising functionality. However, because these are quite common use cases that we hear from clients very often, we have developed 2 additional optional add-ons to the PMIM bundle for awards and for a partner portal. So the awards optional add-on will add a little bit of functionality to support incoming institutional funds and then the allocation of those funds to different programs and projects. So you can get a lightweight visual on what's happening with funds coming into the organization and how they're being allocated to your projects. And then on the partner portal side, this is, you can think of it like a website. It looks like a website. It feels like a website to interact with, but it is an externally facing portal that allows any kind of reporting partner, implementation partner to go in and input data into the system. So, for example, if you work with implementation partners that need to add actual financials that they spent executing a project, or they need to add results against indicators, all of that they can do via a very customizable partner portal. They can also view reports and dashboards to understand the performance of the organization over time. Okay, that was a lot of information. I hope that all made sense. It was a lot of talking for me, so I'll hand the mic back to Shama.
Thank you, Caitlin. Great. I think in this next section, we actually wanted to engage with you again and perhaps get some input from you all who have attended this webinar. If you go to the next slide, or you can pan over to your Menti browser again for those on the call already. But given what you heard around the functionality that we have initially added to these quick start bundles, namely fundraising, project management and impact, and program delivery, we were keen to hear what other functionality would you want to see within a quick start? What would benefit your organization that you did not already see in what Caitlin outlined for the bundles that we have put together? So if you could maybe go back to the Menti screen and share your thoughts, we'd love to hear from you all. System support, reporting module. Okay. And I think maybe, Caitlin, you can confirm that, but I think we will have a few pre-built reports in the quick start bundles. So because Salesforce has a standard reports and dashboards capability, you can actually leverage that and build your own reports as well. But it's good to know that that's a explicitly thought out and sought out need. Donor management. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely happy to speak to that, and maybe a few of these, because there's some really good points here. Shama, absolutely right. With Salesforce, you can create custom reports of many different types whenever you need them. However, each Quick Start bundle is being developed with a set of standard pre-configured reports that just come out of the box. So we have done quite a lot of discovery work in the background, trying to ascertain what are the questions that most organizations need answered. And with that, we're designing a few reports to answer those questions quickly and easily. We will also provide a little bit of lightweight supports in terms of training users and system administrators how to create reports. But also perhaps important to note here that one of the really beautiful things about Salesforce is that they have this incredible volume of extremely well documented learning material online that is free and accessible to anyone. So if you aren't familiar with the platform, you can check out what's called Trailhead. And Trailhead is essentially just a very, very prolific learning management system that Salesforce has created. It is completely free, open to the public, and you can learn anything from super, super basic stuff all the way to very super technical things on the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also see donor management, which probably would be helpful at some point if you can reach out to us separately after the webinar on what else would be helpful for donor management. We do have fundraising as one of the bundles that we have put together. And that does include a little bit of tracking of donors and donations, incoming funds essentially. And we also have awards as an add-on on the bundle that's mostly for project management. But then if you want to sort of track the incoming funds and link that to projects, then that can be an add-on on the PMIM bundle, I believe. But good to know that donor management is a need, because glad that we have that as a bundle that perhaps could be beneficial to some organizations. And then system support, data verification. Okay, that's probably, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, or perhaps again, something we can connect on.
I would like to
after.
learn more about that. Whoever put that, if you could reach out to us, that would be great. I would love to learn more about that need. Also,
Yeah.
perhaps just to note here in terms of how we are packaging these up, there will be a few different options to support data migration. So as I mentioned, training to migrate your accounts and contacts comes as part of the cost of quick starts, but there are a few different tiers of data migration support that we can offer that would likely suit most of the use cases in the room. Additionally, Vera does have a service delivery team, which we would strongly recommend that any clients who are embarking on a quick start journey and are new to Salesforce after the conclusion of that implementation would go to our service delivery team for continued support over time, just to make sure that everyone is moving towards really solid adoption and best practice and organizing feedback on the system for future development purposes.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Caitlin. If you already have Salesforce, you can check out our managed services on Vera Solutions website. But yes, I think with Quick Start implementation specifically, we will have a new set of managed services for system support.
Yeah.
Great. Then we can move on to the next question. Thank you for sharing these. What other quick starts should we explore to support your work? I think some of the responses might be similar to the previous question, but if there's anything additional, just think about the day-to-day tasks that you're doing right now, that for which if a quick to implement solution is out there would be helpful, then that would be great to hear. A lot on grants, I see outbound grants, inbound grants, grantee portals. That's great. Grant, I think, is or inbound grant is an add-on, I think. I'm not sure if that's inbound or outbound.
Yeah, inbound grants could be serviced by the Plus Awards bundle.
Mm.
A little bit TBD based on exactly what the use case is. We would have to make sure that the functionality is fit for purpose, but that is the intent behind the Plus Awards bundle.
Great, great. And I see grantee portals as well, which also right now is an add-on because you can extend Salesforce and build a portal for external users. Great. Not sure if there's anything else to add to this question. I would imagine applications, of course. So a lot around grants. It sounds like grant is a popular candidate for the next quick start that we think of.
Super, that's useful.
All right. And then lastly, what hesitations do you have in exploring a Salesforce-based solution? And I think we ask this, we also did not see maybe Salesforce as a tool when we had asked around what tools do you currently use, which means either you've explored it but dropped the idea, or perhaps you've not explored it, or maybe you did not have an idea that it can be used for nonprofit operations. So if you could maybe input some suggestions on what hesitations would you have if you were looking at a Salesforce-based solutions that could maybe help us find solutions to remove those hesitations, or perhaps acknowledge that and perhaps find other ways to respond to it. Internal capability to manage the system. Okay, a lot of tech tools do have a little bit of learning curve. So does Salesforce. Salesforce costs a lot. Yeah, it could actually cost a lot depending on what exactly would you need. And I think that's where Quick Starts and Salesforce's Power of Us hub would be super helpful. Not sure what Salesforce is. Oh my gosh. Okay, so maybe that's something we can address right now. Salesforce is a CRM platform. It is a cloud-based platform. So think of it as, I've heard someone say this, I don't know who, but Excel on steroids, where essentially you just log into a platform and then you have a very sophisticated interface to interact with your rows and columns of data. Essentially what you do in an Excel sheet or a Google sheet. But I think Salesforce just gives you that functionality with additional functionality in terms of security and analysis and all of that. But whoever wrote that comment, again, do reach out to us and we can give you a quick glimpse of what Salesforce looks like so you have a better idea of what that platform is. Salesforce is definitely in India. So Salesforce is a it has global presence. It has organizations everywhere. They do have data centers now in India as well. I think that was not true a couple of years back, where they had data centers in primary locations in the globe. But they have also partnered up with Amazon and other such data services, and they have centers within India. And they do have a team that supports nonprofits as well, including partners like Vera Solutions. We have a team in India that can help with nonprofit operation customizations on Salesforce. Um, I was commenting earlier on the cost bit as well, and I think maybe Kaden will speak to it shortly, but that is one of the primary reasons why we are introducing this Quick Start initiative, to reduce the implementation cost that usually ties to such implementations.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll chime in here to say that not only are quick starts more affordable than conventional custom implementations, but I would say the cost is also more predictable. So normally when you embark on a larger scale, longer term system implementation, that work is billed by the hour. And because of that, because of unforeseen things, sometimes budgets stretch and the actual cost is more than the estimated costs. Just happens to be how projects typically go. But one of the great things about quick starts is the costs are a lot more fixed. So you can budget for them, you can plan for them a little bit more effectively, which I think is useful with a little bit tighter budgetary constraints. The other flag here that I wanted to call out is this internal capacity to manage the system, I think is a really big deal. Salesforce is a lot of product. There's a lot of functionality there. And one of the things that we've really tried hard to do in the development of quick starts is to make them as simple as humanly possible. So we've removed a lot of the fluff out of the user interface so that the click paths are really simple. We've developed a very robust set of onboarding and training materials to make sure that different users of different types really do have quite a lot of support, in addition to facilitated support as a part of the Quick Start engagement. And finally, a little piece that I'm actually quite excited about is we've also built an in-system help to support adoption. So when you land on certain pages and users typically go, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to click, there are pieces of guidance, for lack of better words, user tips and instructions on how to use the system baked into the solution to support adoption. Cool.
Great. Thank you, Caitlin, and thank you for sharing hesitations. We certainly have a way to sort of overcome these or help you overcome a lot of these. So please do again reach out to us. All right, we do have only 10 minutes left. So maybe we can move on to the next section to talk about how we would implement these.
Super. Great. So exactly, we will dive into talking about the implementation or delivery model. So as I've mentioned a few times throughout the call, when you go through a traditional, perhaps system implementation, you are looking at probably about a 9 to 12 month project life cycle. So typically what would happen is you would join up with a company like Vera Solutions or one of our competitors. We would go through a very meticulous discovery and design process to elicit and document all of your business requirements. Then we would go into a big build phase where we would get into Salesforce and actually build everything in a safe environment. You would test it, we would test it. Once everybody signs off on it, then we would go into a training phase and finally deploy it into production, after which you would go into a phase of ongoing support. So you can compare that to the quick start model, which again, as mentioned, is much shorter burn. So we're looking at about a month and a half, 6 weeks-ish to get you up and running and actually using the system. So instead of going through this whole long process, because the solution is pre-created already, we don't do any of the discovery and design. We lean on industry best practice and we just install the solution in your org. We do a little bit of that label changes to reflect your terminology. We train your users, and then we put it in production and you can use it from the start. Great. So here's a quick graphic of the kind of flow of steps here. So once you decide to move ahead with a quick start, what will happen is Vera will introduce you to the technical consultant who will run the project with you. They will elicit any of those label changes from you, and that will happen in a quick and easy sheet. Then they'll go ahead and install that package in your Salesforce org. Then the technical consultant will demo the system to your team so that everyone understands how it works, understands the functional flow of how the system is intended to be used. You'll go through the various training processes. And finally, once you're up and running, we'll hand over the whole set of documentation that, again, is really intended to enable your team to really effectively own the system, to understand it, and to be able to grow with it over time. Super. Okay, so what's next? Um, we would love for anyone and everyone on the call to reach out to us, whether you are interested to learn more about QuickStarts specifically, or you're just looking for a little bit more of a conversation and exploration on Salesforce or Vera, how we work. Any and all of the above is welcome. You can go ahead and scan the QR code to reach our generic contact form, or you're also welcome to reach out to Shana and I directly using our email addresses.
Yeah, I agree with whatever Caitlin said. I also want to add that um, we this was more of an introductory webinar to sort of help you understand what solutions we have out there for a Salesforce quick start. Which is why I think chat is probably not enabled for you. And apologies that we couldn't actually drop live links, which we were hoping to do that. We would love for you to reach out to us and ask any questions. We have 5 minutes left, so if you have any burning questions, you can still use the Q&A to drop your questions in there. But if not, if you want to digest this, you will receive the recording and the deck, I believe. But if you want to first digest all of this information, we are also happy to maybe receive a question after the webinar. But yeah, please, if you still have confusions on what exactly is Salesforce and why are we suggesting a quick start on Salesforce specifically, please reach out to us and happy to show you what Salesforce looks like and how it has supported organizations so far. Tanya wants to add something.
Yeah, hello. We've got a Q&A from Deepak saying, can you give a brief on impact measurement process? A brief
Sure.
overview.
Do you want to do that, Caitlin, in the PMIM bundle or?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Yeah, so there are a few different ways. I think the conventional way in which organizations would use the PMIM bundle and go through this impact measurement process is that you would set up a program or a project which would kind of be your central entity for managing all of your data. Then you would go ahead and set up reporting periods. So those are periods of time across which you are gathering impact-related data. So for example, maybe you report on a quarterly basis or a biannual basis or an annual basis. After that, you would set up your logical framework or theory of change, like we spoke about. So the system enables you to create statements or objectives at different levels. So again, your activities, your outputs, your outcomes, your impact statements, and then tie those to indicators. So for example, let's say you're an education organization and you want to assess matriculation rates, right? That could be an indicator. Then you can set up baseline values. So how is your organization performing initially? And then targets and results against those different time periods. So we can say, okay, in Q1, we want to reach this target. We want this percentage of students to matriculate or get a certain mark, or we want to train X number of people, whatever your indicator is. And then you can continue to set those targets and gather results across all of those periods of time. Then there's a lot of different ways that you can aggregate or disaggregate that data. So for example, disaggregation by sex is a really common one that we see a lot of clients do. Disaggregation by age is another quite a common use case. And yeah, all of that tethers together to your reporting structure over time and potentially by geographic area, thematic area as well. In the instance that you have reporting partners, they could then go and use that partner portal to report data back to you, so to report results. I hope that answers the question.
And Caitlin, would you mind, I don't know if it's feasible on Menti, but to maybe just keep the Venn diagram slide up there? Because I think that gave a good idea of what features, even within impact measurement, is a part of that.
Sure.
And while
there we go.
I think there was a few slides further back. Oh yeah, but this is also a good one. Yeah, so this is one specifically with PMIM, which also lists out the capabilities that the tool provides specifically for impact measurement process. And if you don't mind going back a few more slides to the three bundles specifically, the three solutions which were right after you introduced them. But this is just to let the attendees on the webinar know that if one or more of these interest you, or if you think you would like to explore one or more of these bundles, then that would be a great conversation starter for us if you want to reach out to us. Great.
Great. I think we are just at time there, right on time. Thank you for the question, and thank you everyone for joining the webinar. As Shama mentioned, everyone will receive a recording, and please do reach out to us if you have any further questions. We're always happy to talk all things Salesforce, impact measurement, fundraising, etc. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone.